this is a perfect segue after Kiara's presentation to introduce you to David Maria, who is, I'm calling him my teacher because I take classes from him, but he's more than that. He is taking the class right alongside us. So it's a very different experience of taking the freedom from the known, which is freedom from programming and the constructs that this experience has given you that may not serve you anymore, right?
And don't serve you anymore.
No. So,
and I've taken the class more than 17 times.
7 times. He said 17. I was like, that sounds like, well, you guys, the thing that's amazing about this is every class you basically are sharing the past classes experience, and then there's a meditation, and the meditation, because it's on a Zoom call, is recorded, and you get to listen to it, and you can listen to it as much as you need to release whatever is the falsehood, basically, of reality, or keeping you from the higher states of reality. Let's put it that way. You can listen to it over and over and over again. So, David, why don't we explain how? I thank you, Nancy, and thank you, everyone. I would love for people that don't know you, because there's probably a lot of people that haven't met you yet that are going to be watching this today and maybe in the future. Could you explain a little bit about this journey that you embarked upon to awaken and access this field of consciousness that you share with us in those classes?
Wow, that's actually a very big question, Kathy.
That's why I asked it.
and to be perfectly honest, today is not about me. Today is this is about the earth.
Well, it is. This is still about the earth.
So, in just a really short synoptic version, in 2018, I started dreaming of Africa, and eventually came to know that I had a major dream that 3 African kings came to me and invited me to go out into the bush with them. And I knew that that was an invitation to Africa. Over a series of just, the only way I can phrase it is miraculous events. This was in December, and Africa is a destination over Christmas break for families to take their kids on whatever type of safari they might be going on, whatever it might be. And the closer you get to Christmas, the more expensive plane tickets get. I didn't have the money at that point. And without saying anything, David Hall and his wife called me and told me that they had gotten a clear message that I had to be in Africa. They wanted to buy my plane ticket. And more miracles happened, and more miracles happened. And even though there were, quote unquote, some hiccups along the way, as in we ended up being 2.5 hours away from where we were supposed to be, because what we eventually figured out is that there is an annual event that is a prayer vigil that circumambulates around Mount Kenya. And we were on the northwest side of the mountain, and it turns out it starts on the southeast. So this is the day after Christmas, and we're driving there. We're driving as quickly as we can. We've been told the event is going to start at 9. And everybody actually left early, and they were all there and ready to go at 8 o'clock. And they're calling us, wanting us to know where are you? And I think I made a comment of something like, look, this is an all-day event. Just start without us and we'll catch up. And they're going, no, 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 you don't understand. You have to be here. So unbeknownst to me, they've already told all of the gathered people that I'm coming. I have no idea that this was, I didn't discover this until later, but it definitely was news to me. And this was before COVID. And so when we arrived there was a substantial amount of people, maybe 800 or 900 people there, all African, and myself and one other person, Teresa Lutnegger. We were the only white people there. And to the best of my knowledge, we're the only white people that had ever come to this event. So we're walking across the road to join the crowd in the back and just to be there. And now they come and get us and they drag us up front and they turn us around and introduce us to the crowd. And it was both for me extremely embarrassing and a great honor all at the same time. And then we were introduced to all of the officials. And one of those was the last person that I met. He's an obvious priest or something. I didn't know. Turns out his name is Samuel Kamitha. And I look at him and he's the man from my dream. And he looks at me and smiles and kind of laughs and says, David, I dreamt of you. And I said, Samuel, I dreamt of you too. So obviously there's a large gathering of people here waiting for an invocation and to be able to start this journey around Mount Kenya, which, by the way, takes over 7 hours to do. And so he says, let me do the invocation, and then afterwards I'll give you and your friends a blessing. And which he did. And when it came time for me, he heard that still voice that we all know what it is inside of him say, no, give him everything. And it was like being struck by lightning 5 or 6 times in just a few seconds. And my body pretty much couldn't handle it. Came real close to overramping it. I was as we drove around the mountain, I was like a bobblehead in the back of the car, just kind of bouncing along. To make it short, returning home, I was living on the Oregon coast at that time. I spent 3 months just sitting in my living room looking out the window. And that was it. I was just integrating this energy. And it has only continued to expand. It has only continued to grow. The connection has deepened and deepened and deepened, as is happening for everybody in their own level. Wherever they are on their path, whatever it is, it's deepening for everybody. And mine was no exception. Meditation after meditation after meditation began pouring in. I was being downloaded constantly, still am, but most people are. And so in a very short story, or to make this story shorter, if that's it has led to what it is now in terms of forming, having offerings to be able to be of assistance to people, including classes. I'm currently sharing 3 of the Freedom from the Known classes at the same time. One is here in the States, one is in Australia, and another one is being offered 1 class a month through the course of the year. It is a big course. It's 11 weeks. So not everybody has the ability to make an 11-week commitment. And I'm getting ready to start another one. The one in Australia is just finishing, and I'm getting ready to offer another one in that time zone. So that's the really short story of how I arrived here. It's Kathy knows I don't really like to talk about it, because that's not how I came here. Is not the point. The point is what is the consciousness that has come forward through me since that happened. That's an event. That's a destiny event, most definitely. And it's Even to me, it's still pretty amazing and cool. And I was there, and I lived it, but still.
Well, I just am so excited that I have gotten to spend the past year, almost every Saturday of the past year and something, doing this work with you. What I wanted to make sure that people understood is the connection that this has with Earth. That's why we wanted I had invited David to be a part of this beautiful opportunity because we are, as Omar had said, the earth will be just fine. It's us. It's the human psyche and the programming that is out of alignment with truth and love.
As Native people have said on multiple occasions, you can take any species on the planet and take them off, and humans won't survive. If you remove any of what we consider to be the food sources from the planet, we won't survive. Take us off the planet, the earth thrives.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yet we're not even on the cusp right now. We're fully in it. We're fully in this major quantum shift in energy, that new energies are available. So just to digress just a little bit, historically, when somebody self-realized and they remembered who they were, they remembered that they are the creator. The most common thing that would happen is that they would drop their body and go back into the spirit world as an ascended master. That's not what we're doing now. Now the prevalent energy, which has never happened before, this is the first time in this universe it has ever happened, is that we are embodying our souls in our physical body. What that means is that we are living on the earth as divine beings. Even the opportunity to do this has never happened before. And is it easy? Is it simple? What's the expression? If it was easy, everybody would do it. But even though it may not be easy, the energy to do this, to be able to fulfill this grand dream, it's here, and it's very, very possible for anybody that wants to move in that direction, that makes the decision that you can do this. It's not an exclusive club that's only available to a few. There's a wonderful African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go with others. And it takes all of us to do this work, even though the inner work that we do, that's just for us. We can still do it in the presence of a group. We can still receive support from a group energy, from a group of people focusing in a certain way together, in a synergy. But bottom line is, it always comes down to each one of us. And do we do that? Do we allow ourselves to transform ourselves? My expression, and I'm sure it's others too, is that if you remember, one of the books that was just showed through your sponsors was Homo Luminous, and we are making a shift as great as the shift from Cro-Magnon into Homo sapiens, and we are transforming into luminous beings. I think personally, I feel it's the transfiguration, which is what Yeshua underwent when he went out into the desert for 40 days and 40 nights and came back to Christ. And that energy, that transfiguration that transforms every single cell in the body and releases every programming that's going on, every trauma, every distortion, whatever it is, that's available. And not only available, but supported. amply supported, enthusiastically supported by the entirety of creation. It is supporting our effort to be able to do this. And part of that is also our relationship to the earth. Most of the people on the planet right now live on the earth. And what I mean by that is that the earth is available to use however they choose, because it's just another resource. And they don't live with the earth. And there's a big difference in terms of how we bring our consciousness to that. So, and there is, in terms of globally, you look at the patterns of what it is that we have adjusted to, what have we normalized for the vast populations of people on the planet in terms of materialism, in terms of wanting more and more and more and more and more, of which there's nothing wrong with that. It's another form of consciousness. But when the wanting that you want has deleterious effects upon the overall planet, which is our home, and we need, just like spring cleaning our houses, we need a healthy home. And remembering she is a living being. She is a conscious being, just like we are. It has a different form, yes. That's never been an issue. But we all have different forms. And consciousness is unlimited in the number of forms that it's possible for us to be able to experience in one way or another. So years ago, Matt Kahn made a statement that if everybody on the earth, just for 1 second, loved themselves, instantly all of the pollution, if I remember this correctly, all of the pollution in the oceans would disappear. That's how powerful we are. That's how phenomenal we are as beings, and we're not even close yet. We're not even close as a collective to be able to embody that energy. And fortunately, it doesn't have to be every single person on the planet. There's already been enough people on here now that have made the shift inside themselves. They've made the turn, and they're now either embodying their own higher frequencies, or they're well on their way, that it has made a shift in the collective trajectory. So just look at the things that we have normalized when you look out at the world and cultures. We've normalized war. I mean, war has been constant on this planet, and people are making huge amounts of money through that. We've normalized all kinds of destructive patterns and processes that, for any sane person, we would look at that and go, that's not right. It's not right to do that. So it is definitely time. This is the time for a shift. And lots of people speak of New Earth. New Earth is definitely here, because Gaia, as a spiritual being, she's already ascended. Now for us, if we want to continue to live here and call this our home, we have to match the frequency that she has become. And it's not just a single, we're going to live here or we're going to live on New Earth. There are multiple versions of what we call New Earth, and they're all frequency based. So your energy field is what creates them. And not just your individual energy field, but all of us. and they're all available simultaneously. For me, it's one version of multidimensional travel. It's one version of everything, everywhere, all at once, all the time, where we start experiencing multidimensionality on a almost constant and regular basis, and we're able to travel to the other realms. We're able to travel interdimensionally. We're actually able to travel interuniversally out into the multiverse, because there are trillions of universes that are available to be able to visit, if that's what each individual wishes. So what I'd really like to do is to share a very short meditation, if that's okay, Kathy. You're muted.
Sure. I'll just we have about 15 minutes. About. Okay.
This will do it. See, it's not even really a meditation as much as it is a form of creation. So wherever you are, I'll ask you to make yourself comfortable, whether it's sitting or laying down. If you're laying down, try not to fall asleep. And of course, if always going with what is, if you're falling asleep, that's okay. Or if you fall asleep, that's okay. So just come into your body. Just begin to kind of concentrate the energy that's in your auric field around you, and concentrate the energy in your body, and condense it, and bring it to your root. Remembering that men and women ground at their root in different places in the body. And if you haven't done this before, it's not that difficult. Just really come into the body to where you're completely and totally grounded. And when you've done that, then send a beam of light from your root down into the center of the earth and connect it to the crystal core that's there. And then bring another beam of light back up from that crystal core and connect it to your root, so that you are firmly grounded in your body and connected to the earth. And then, however you imagine what it might be like to be on this earth and know that it is reflective of divine consciousness, that it is a divine being just like you are. Envision, if you will, or imagine, if you will, what that earth is like. No pollution of any kind. Clean air, clean water, clean earth. Animals living freely and in balance and harmony, to where we're not interrupting their systems. They have their own consciousness. And all of life on the earth is thriving, including humans. We have discovered what it is to live in harmony on this incredibly beautiful jewel that we call Gaia, that we call Earth. And we know that we are a part of it. We are intimately connected with her And our presence is necessary. Our presence in holding this phenomenal vision of a world that is actually free. No one exerting control over anybody else. No one forcing anybody to do anything against their will. Actually living in freedom both inside and outside. Just really hold that vision, and not just hold it mentally with your mind, but feel it in your body. Feel what that would be like. And the deeper the feeling that you have, that is what brings it into being. It doesn't have to be forced. In fact, it can't be forced. And then to really ground and anchor that, find yourself standing somewhere on the earth that is a sacred spot for you. It doesn't matter where it is. It could be in the middle of Manhattan in New York, if that's a sacred spot for you. And then let your feet sink under the earth a little bit. Your bare feet. And then open the eyes in the bottoms of your feet. And when you do, you will begin to feel, even if you're not seeing, you'll begin to know, whether it's through feeling or sensing or knowing or seeing, it doesn't matter. They're just different ways of modalities of perception. You can begin to see the mycelium, the thread network of the mushrooms underground that connect everything, connect all the trees together. You'll begin to be able to have awareness of the elementals, whether they be gnomes or fairies or sprites or whatever they happen to be. But you'll have awareness of the Fae, and that they're here, and they love to be with us. They want to be with us. They want to work with us. Feel how you can now have a deeper understanding of the elements of the earth. And they're not just elements, they're living forces, they're alive. And they all interact with each other. And they're meant to interact with each other in harmony and balance. And then to really, really ground and anchor this energy, this vision that you're holding. Let yourself sink into the earth up to your waist, up to your hips. And let your legs extend and grow in length until they reach the very center of the core of Earth. And you're standing on the very core of the crystalline center of the Earth. And simultaneously, you're standing on the molten core of Earth. And that fire, that energy is coming up through you. And just in the same way that you have a spine and that there is an energy flow, sometimes called Kundalini, sometimes it's your life force that flows through your spine, the earth has a spine too, and it has an energy flow just like you do. And much like encountering an absolutely incredible, amazing being in the form of a tree and wanting to hug it, but instead of hug it, we back up to it and we put our back to the tree and we can align with that tree. We can feel its roots going down into the earth. In the same way, we are now, each one of you are now rooted to the core of the earth. And you are anchored there. And then the part of you that is not in the earth, that is above the earth, it has also grown larger. And you are literally able to be in with your head in the stars, with your consciousness being able to access everything in the universe, and your feet in the earth. If you're just having access to traveling the universe, then you're like a kite without a string. You're just you have nothing to ground yourself. And this is a way to embody your spirit, your soul, your high self, your I am presence in the body and anchor it in the earth. As we do this work, as we transform ourselves, everything around us begins to transform. And holding that feeling of envisioning what the earth is possible, this is something we're all going to create and co-create with each other. That's why if you want to go far, go with the others. And when you're ready, you can come back to your normal body and waking consciousness.
It's always hard to talk after going out like that.
Right? I was just thinking the same thing. I was like, oh man, how do we proceed forward now? I kept David's advice in mind. Don't fall asleep now.
Well, he doesn't want to, so you're off camera when you're doing the class. So I get a good snooze in usually, and the all the processes work without me getting in the way.
They always do.
Yep.
Thank you.
So Selena said that was so beautiful. So David, you said, there we go. You said about us being a kite without a string, and I'd love. We're really at a point now where we're the energies, the people that are sensitive, or the people that are starting to become sensitive, are starting to have experiences, whether it's empathic experiences or out-of-body experiences or a quantum awareness experience. Could you talk just a little bit about grounding or ways that people can embody this work without fear?
Living without fear is phenomenal.
It sure is, because I can attest to that. I live my life with zero fear, and it is a phenomenal way of living. It really is. Nothing can stop you. Absolutely nothing.
And the awareness that there is nothing to be afraid of, including death. There is no death. It's one of the greatest lies that has ever been fostered on humanity, that somehow we die. Personally, this is me personally, I feel we have it backwards. That taking birth is a form of death because we're these unlimited spirits.
Right.
And now we come into this contraction, into this density, and we forget who we are. We disconnect from all of our abilities and be able to connect multidimensionally and have awarenesses. And yet when we do die, we go back into the phenomenal expansiveness of spirit. So that's probably one of the biggest fears that people have is the fear of death. And it's also the fear that we're separate somehow. We think we're individuals, but we have no awareness of feeling how we are all intimately connected with each other. And it goes so deep when you realize that this is not an intellectual exercise, that you are one with everything. And you are, paradoxically, at the same time, we're still our individual selves. You know, I get to be, the quirky personality that I am, and with a sometimes unbelievably strange sense of humor. And at the same time, we are these phenomenal divine beings that nothing is able to contain us.
Perfect.
And it is a process. It is a process of you may have experiences to where you connect into that oneness, into the phenomenal presence of all, and you know that that's who you are. And then at the same time, there's this desk that's in front of me. There's this room that's around me in this house, and they coexist at the same time.
Yes.
And there's no separation in that, none whatsoever. But that comes about through you embodying the energy in your physical body, and that changes everything. It changes everything.
Yes. Perfect.
That is so profound, David. It just blew my mind when you were talking about the death happening when we are born, right? The opposite you were talking about. I never really thought about it from that perception, but it is a profoundly moving statement because like you said, when you think about it, we're coming from the infinite, right, and down to this very limited, right, vessel that we can do a lot with, but still very limited. And I really, really like that, and I think I'm going to steal it from you, and I'll credit you for it, David.
You don't have to steal it. You're welcome to it.
I always thought
just 1 second. Just 1 second. In many First Nation cultures, when one partner in a couple crossed over, the person that was left was considered to be holy immediately. They were considered to be more divine because their partner is now in the spirit world and they're still connected to each other. And so it was acknowledged by the tribe, wherever it was, that this is the case, that this is true, that they are now in the presence of a holy person. Even if it's not an energy that they can continue to hold permanently for that transition period, which was usually around 3 months, they were allowed by the tribe, by the village, to be able to continue to live in such a way that they honor that tradition. But then usually after 3 months, and we're talking cultures that are not like have unlimited resources available to them, they were needed, and so that usually it was 3 months, and then they were asked to come back and start fully participating in whatever work that they were involved with the village.
Mhm.
But that's really important to remember, is that when somebody crosses you that you're close to, you now have a spirit guide on the other side,
Yeah.
working with you intimately.
Perfect.
And yes, it's difficult for people to lose people, that, or for people to cross over, and all the loved ones that are left behind. As Esther Hicks of the Abrahams, if you listen to any of her stuff, she's really disrespectful towards death. She calls it croaking.
Yep.
Because there is no death. There is no death.
That's right.
Nobody dies. And one thing I would
say, how can there be death?
There's one other
Sorry,
thing
Dave.
that I'd like just very quickly, as a comment to how we have normalized dysfunction and distortion on the planet. There are so many things going on the planet that are just horrific, and we all know what they are. I don't need to go into them. Everybody has an awareness of them. And my question for everybody is on the necessity of forgiveness. And can you, inside yourself, can you forgive the unforgivable? Can you forgive the most horrific thing that you can imagine? We're all eternal beings, and we're on a journey traveling through the universe into creation, and we take incarnation many times. And as the Buddhists say, the person sitting next to me may have at one point been your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, your aunt and uncle, your enemy, your friend, your lover, your wife, your child, whatever it is. And over the course of the eternity of those incarnations, at one point or another, we've all done unimaginable things to others and had unimaginable things done to us. There are no others. There are no others. There isn't anybody that you can say, that you can look at, that ultimately is not a part of you as you. And so when you forgive, you're really forgiving yourself. You're letting your own energy forgive itself, and let all of that just fall away and drop, so that you do have the unlimited ability to love yourself, to just be present. Thanks, Omar. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I really didn't, but it was really pressing.
No, that was my bad, brother. I was bad hosting manners. I just jumped in and just cut off my speaker.
No worries.
I'm not a professional, right? I'm a drywaller that moonlights as a podcaster every once in a while.
You play a podcaster
in my free time. Yeah. David, I was going to say, I heard David Icke say once, talking about death, and he said all it is the point of attention has been lifted from this point to that point. You still exist. You were before, you will be after, and all that's happened is the point of attention is just shifted from you to somewhere else. And I really resonated with that explanation of death, because death really doesn't exist. It's like you said, the biggest con that's ever been pulled on humanity, and it's more for a fear factor to keep us in that perpetual state of fear, and and cause our energy to become really dense.
As Kathy is aware, because I've mentioned this in class, most of the time, most days, it may be really common that I don't know who I am. I don't know where I am. And something new is that oftentimes I don't know when I am.
Oh no, another part of it. Oh my gosh.
It's really interesting to watch how we awaken to who we are.
Wow. Wow.
And by the way, just as a complete segue, I really, really, really want to meet Kiara.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll be glad to introduce you. So, okay. So I'm afraid we are at the end of our session. I know. Well, we'll do this again and again and again and again, because you guys, the thing is the opportunity for us to live a life of joy, be courageous in our sharing of our gifts is right around the corner.
It's
And
not even around the corner. It's
well,
here.
excuse me. Okay, so for us mere mortals,
It's here.
okay. Well, anyway, you can see we have fun. We're not taking life too seriously, and we're co-creating the new world and a new way of looking at humanity as um, co-creators at a very high level with spirit. So I invite everyone to go to the edentemplate.com and see David's site. The course that I've been taking is called Freedom from the Known. And again, it's been over a year and something that I've been taking it almost every Saturday. So I recommend his work highly. I'm a big fan, and I'm not the same person I was before I took the class. And I've done a lot of wonderful things before. So I highly recommend that you check it out.
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you, everybody that's joined us today. Thank you, everybody that's listening. And whatever it is that you want to create or co-create, whatever it is, the energy here is here to be able to, for you to be able to do that.
That's right.
It's here, and the energy is yours. It's yours to use as you with. So dream big.
That's
dream
right.
Bigger.
Wonderful. Perfect. Thank you, dear.
Thank you, Kathy.
Okay. Talk to you soon.
Pleasure to be here with you.
Thank you, David. Really appreciate it, brother. And I'm hoping to have you on Watchers Talk once my, ban is lifted once again, and maybe we can engage in a one-on-one conversation. I've been talking to Kathy actually in the background for the last several weeks to get you on, but my work schedule is just killer, right? Working from pretty much 5 o'clock in the morning till like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So one of these days, I'm going to reach out to you and see if we can get ourselves into a deep conversation.
Thank you, my friend. Many blessings.
Be prepared to put your seatbelt on. That's all I can say.
I'm going right now.
What's the expression? Keep your arms and hands inside the
rug. Thank you, dear. Bless you. Bless you.
Thank you, David.
Bye-bye.
Bye.